Hello, Math 140 students. So we're going to pick up on page 1, section 3.1. So it says, on the xy plane, you can plot an ordered pair x and y. So notice here that we have an axis. An axis here is called the x-axis. Now, we also have the other axis. So we have the y-axis here. And the y-axis is going to go straight up and down. So this would be the y-axis on the x and y-axis. Now, when we talk about the origin, it's a very, very specific ordered pair. Well, if you think about it, it's right smack in the center. So that ordered pair is 0, 0. So you have the x and the y value. So when it says plot the origin, I have the origin. So that right there is the origin. Now for number 2, it says label the quadrants. So you think of quads as 4. So there are going to be 4 quadrants. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And in case you guys were wondering what these all meant, these are Roman numerals. Okay, so that's what we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now, for example number 1, it says, give the location of the point found in the graph. Well, we know that on this axis is x. So I can think of, well, on the x-axis, I'm here at -2. And on my y-axis, that's going, here, that's going up and down. Here is going to be my y value. So now where those points come together is here. So I have my x value as -2 and my y value as 4. So this ordered pair is -2, 4. So the location where you can find that point is -2, 4. That is what we are asking for. So you always give the x value and then the y value second. So it goes alphabetically, A, B, C, and then you have your x and y. So make sure that the x is first and the y follows. So now we have a few practice problems. So for part A, it's asking us to plot the point. So here I have the point -3, 4. So on the x-axis, I'm at -3, so that's around here. And I'm on 4 on the y-axis. So where that point meets is going to be right there. So that is -3, 4. Okay. So likewise, let's look at, B here, which is 8, 0. That means the x value is 8 and the y value is 0. So here, my x value is 8 and the y value is 0. So that point would be an 8, 0. Now for my c value here, it tells us that x is equal to 0 and y is equal to a -5. So if x is 0, I'm here around the origin, but it's telling me that my y value is -5. So 0, -5 is here. So you just really want to be careful on where the x is located. Here, since y is equal to 0, this tells us that we are going to be on the x-axis. In this particular case, we have x is equal to 0. That tells us that we are going to be on the y-axis. Okay. For number 2, it says which ordered pairs are solutions to the equation. So what they want us to do is just plug in values and see if it worked. So let's think of this as equation number 1. So I'm going to let my x value be 4 and my y value equal to 0. Now I'm going to plug it into x plus 6y is equal to 4. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to plug in the 4 for x and the 0 for y. When I do this, I get 4 plus 0 is equal to 4. So that 4 is equal to 4. It checks out. So 4, 0 is a ordered pair that's a solution to the equation. Now I'm going to do this for the next point. So my next point here that I'm going to try is x is equal to 1/3 and y value is equal to 2. So I'm going to change what I'm doing here slightly. So now the ordered pair that I'm looking at is 1/3, 2. So here I have x is equal to 1/3 and y is equal to a value 2. So I plug that in. So here's my 1/3 and here's my 2 value. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this into my calculator. And if I were to plug in this 1/3 plus 6 times 2 is equal to 4, no, this is about 12.3 repeating is equal to 4. So this does not check out. So now let's try equation or the ordered pair for number 3. So the next one that we're checking is 0, 4, which tells us that x is equal to 0 and that the y value is equal to 4. So I'm plugging in a 0 and a 4. So when I get that, I get 24 is equal to 4. So that also does not check out. And now for my last one. I have 2, 1/3. So this is saying that my x value is equal to 2 and that my y value is equal to 1/3. So x here, the value that I'm plugging in is 2 and my y value that I'm plugging in is 1/3. So let's see, 2 plus 6 times the fraction of 1/3, that's going to equal to 4. So it also checks out. So the two solutions would be 4, 0 and 2, 1/3. Number 3 is kind of saying the same thing as number 2. The only difference here is now they're giving you a table. So they really do give you ordered pairs, but you just have to figure out what that is. So we have our equation here. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug in values. So this first row is telling us that x is equal to 0. Figure out the y value. So the way that we're going to figure out the y value is by plugging in into the x value. So I have a negative 10, then I have my x value, minus y is equal to a negative 20. So here the value that I'm plugging in is x is equal to 0. Well, 0 times anything is just 0, so that goes away. So I'm left with a negative y is equal to negative 20, which gives me that y is equal to a positive 20. So now the ordered pair would be 0, 20. Now they want us to try to do the same thing with equation number 2. So this is saying that x is equal to 1. So I need to figure out my y value. So again, I still have the equation negative 10x minus y is equal to a negative 20. And I went ahead and put parentheses around the variables x and y, so that way you know what you're plugging in. So here, the x value that I'm plugging in here is 1. So if I plug in a 1, then I'm going to get that negative 10 minus y is equal to a negative 20. From there, I'm going to add 10 to both sides, so that negative y is equal to, and you have negative 20 plus 10, which is a negative 10. So y is equal to now a positive 10. So that ordered pair, you have x is equal to 1 and my y value equal to 10. And now we can look at my third row over here. So this is saying that y is equal to 0. So I'm looking at this row, and it's telling me that my y value is equal to 0. So I'm going to plug it into my equation. So now I need to figure out my x value. But I still have the same equation, which is a negative 10x minus y is equal to a negative 20. So that y value that I'm plugging in, it already knows it's 0. So I really have a negative 10x is equal to a negative 20. So negative 20 divided by negative 10 gives me a positive 2. So now I know that this value is going to be x is equal to 2, and I have 2, 0. And I accidentally erased the other, so I'm just going to go ahead and write it in really quickly. Okay. So now my table is complete. So I have the missing values. So I have the y values, the x values, and the xy values as the ordered pair. And that is the end of section 3.1. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me or contact the tutor. Thank you.